Hi, my name's John Whispertill of JWH Millinery and welcome to part 2 of this Suicide Squad inspired hat. Now, up to last week we got to the point where everything was kind of coming together. It didn't really look like a hat, and you're like, really, is this actually going to work? Well, as you can see, it actually did. If you carry on watching this video, you'll learn how to finish it off and get it ready to be worn or to sell to our clients. I will catch you later at the end of this video and I'll see you soon. So picking up where our last video finished, we've now got the brim all ready and raring to go. So to give this some support, we're going to need to wire the edge of the brim. To do this, you're going to need some millinery wire and a ferrule. So attach the ferrule to one end of the wire, making sure you've got enough of wire to go around the entire brim. And sew this to the edge of the brim using a blanket stitch. Now, some people have commented that I'm not actually using a blanket stitch, or I'm doing the blanket stitch wrong. It works the same way. I don't actually know the right way of doing a blanket stitch. I just know that this ends up looking like a blanket stitch. If you know what this stitch is called, leave them a comment down below and tell me what it is, because that's one thing I'm not aware of, is my stitches. I just know how to do them. So do this and attach the wire all the way around the brim and move on to the next step. So this set part was a lot of fun to do. As I said in my previous video, I did actually buy some floral spray, but I went shopping for some other items for another hat and I came across this fashion spray. Now, I did do some tests beforehand with both the fashion spray and the floral spray, and for the look that I wanted, the fashion spray was better. That's not to say the floral spray isn't any good, it's just I wanted a little bit more of a diffusedness of a ombre effect, shall we say, as opposed to like something sitting on the top, which a floral spray will do. It will penetrate. It just looked to me more like it was sat on the top. To do this, just apply the fashion spray in very, very, very small bursts, layering it up. Don't try and get the colour that you want immediately. You're going to have to do this several times. Make sure that you put down some old fabric or something to protect. Also with this, once it's dry, you're going to need to set it. So make sure you follow the instructions on the side of the bottle. I believe it was to say iron it and that will set it. So what I did was, once it was fully dry, I put this back on the block with some cling film underneath, and with a damp tea towel I just ironed over this just to set that fashion spray down, and so it wouldn't bleed anywhere. And the beauty is this will naturally bleed when it's wet, and that's what gives it the beautiful ombre effect that we're trying to achieve. So as you can see, I've actually changed the crown. I wasn't very happy with how it was looking. I couldn't really get a nice crisp finish on the edges, so I decided to make a flat top pillbox style to go with the hat. Now, as you can see, I've used the same materials. I've done this the same way and added that little touch of pink using that fashion spray that we've been using. Now, if you want to know how to make this one, check out my first video, which is the cosmic inspired pillbox. I used the same techniques as that, and I just used a nice little diagonal finish on the side, as you will see later on in the video. So now we need to attach the crown to the brim. So to do this, if you push the crown through the hole where the brim is and turn that over, you'll be able to see how far you need to adjust each of the different bits of the overhang of the brim. Now, what I'm doing is, I did wire the crown beforehand, and usually you would cover this, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to cover it with the excess from the brim. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm pulling that extra excess over the edge of the brim, and the reason why we're doing this is because the brim has been wired. is going to give that some real good strength and support. Now, be aware you do have cut lines, so you need to ensure that all the lines that you've cut are hidden, or at least are folded over the edge of the crown to hide these away. Keep going round, pinning it into place, making any adjustments where needed before you do any stitching. Now that's been done, turn the hat over back on itself just to see if you've got a nice finish. Now I noticed that some of the basket weave cinema had kind of come away from the aqua cinema, so turn it back over, take some pins out, and not too many, I might have took quite a few out, and pull on that one layer only. Now you will see a little bit of distortion really, but what you want is you want it to look as if all 3 layers are one layer. Reattach the pins, turn it over, give it a check, see if it's any good, and just keep doing this all the way around to make sure that that lime basket weave cinema is as flush to the aqua cinema as possible. Once you're happy with how it looks, stitch it into place. Once again, using that diagonal stitch, I absolutely adore that stitch. It's such a time saver, and it really hides your stitches really, really well. To give this hat some detail, we're going to be bead embroidering some X's onto the side of the hat. Now you can choose wherever you want to put this. I thought it would look better where it actually is. Now what I've used is I've used some bugle beads, and I've had these beads a while. I don't actually know where I got them from, but I have had them in my bead box for several years, and I found this was the perfect thing for this hat. I used very thin beading needles to do this, and I didn't do the correct way of beading by attaching the one bead, securing it down, attaching the second bead, securing it down. As you can see, what I actually did do was thread several beads onto the thread and pulled that through. Yes, I could have attached it all down one by one, but I thought that was quite time consuming, and the likelihood of the threads coming undone is slim to none. It's not going to be somewhere that's going to get rubbed a lot, it's going to be moved a lot, so it's not really going to come undone. I did use clear thread for this as well, because on the underside you're going to need to hide it. A clear thread is perfect for this. You're going to need 2 X's, and I used, I think, 3 strands per part of the X, and I staggered where the X finished, so it gave that distressed, not so pristine look to it. Obviously we didn't copy the X's properly, obviously due to copyright we're not allowed to do that, but you know, this is inspired. It's, you know, it's supposed to look similar but not be an exact replica. So now we're going to add the edging onto the side of the hat. You can buy this pre-made, but I actually made this out of the same aqua cinema, or pin-up pock as it turned out it was. I cut the strip round about, I'd say about 2 centimetres wide, and made bias strips. Now if you don't know how to make bias strips, check out one of my previous videos, and I will just put it in the corner down below so you can link to that there. And instead of actually using the 4 layers like we were doing in that tutorial, we're going to, that final crease is going to be on the edge of the hat. So add that to around the hat, pinning in place where you need to, and just use small stabbing stitches. Use this on a diagonal, and you will be able to hide your stitches a lot easier, and it will take you half the time it would if you were just doing a straight up and down stitch. To make a nice finish at the back of the hat, what I do is just turn under very slightly the edge of the cinema back on itself, and this will just give you that really nice crisp finish that you're looking for, just to make it look a lot more professional. Somebody once asked me on Facebook, how do you attach the ribbon to the inside of your hat? So, here we go, this is how I do mine. Taking the full length of ribbon, pin it into place. It's that simple. Some people like to curve their ribbon using an iron. I don't really do that. I'm not a big fan of that. I find that sometimes the iron leaves like a shiny residue on the ribbon, and I don't really like that. So I pin it into place, starting at the back of the hat, using as little pins as possible, just so you don't leave any holes. And once you get towards the end of the ribbon, just cut off what you don't need, tuck it under itself, and pin it into place. And then using one of my favourite stitches, as we all know, John loves a good old diagonal stitch, and I'm sure there's a correct term for that, but I always call it the diagonal stitch, and stitch that into place. Make sure you use our thread, which also matches the outside of the hat, so you don't really see it on either side. A good thread for this is using a clear plastic thread, but I tend to find, if you find a thread which matches the ribbon, if you use the diagonal stitch, then you're not going to see it on the outside. Cut a length of ribbon to go around the outside of the crown. Pin this into place, and using a couple of stabbing stitches, just tack this into place. If you find the ribbon is rising in anywhere, just put a single stitch as low down on the ribbon as possible, just to hide any stitches. So this part is optional, you don't really have to do this, but I just thought it'd give it something different, give it a new texture, a new idea, and introduce a new way of working really. I'm using the 3D Doodler, and the 3D Doodler uses plastic, primarily ABS plastic, and it does come in a lot of different colours, so there is always something that you can use it for. It's actually a pen which is making things in air, so you're actually drawing in air. It does take a little bit of work to get used to, and I'm still learning, I'm still practicing, and I haven't really made anything sculptural. I use it mainly for accent work and for just something, just to add a little bit of detail somewhere, which is what we're going to be using it here. Now, it is very hot, and I will say the pen isn't necessarily the easiest thing to work with. It turns itself on and off as it's cooling up, cooling down. It won't squirt the plastic out unless it's a certain temperature, so you've got to be very patient with it. And as you probably notice as you're watching this, there's a few things that where I mess it up and I have to take it off. But yeah, on the whole, I really enjoy using it. Now I am aware that they have released an upgraded one, which is a 3D Doodler Pro, and I am kind of looking into, is it going to be any better than the one I've already got? There are other ones out there. I think there's one called Lix, Lix. So if you are interested in that, do a bit of research, see if it's something that you will like, because they're not cheap. I think mine was about £100, and the packs of plastic are around £10 each, and I think you get about 10 strands in there, so it works out like £1 a strand. Hopefully this is something that I'll be able to use more in millinery, and if you do want to see more of the 3D Doodler, leave a note in the comments below. So after doing a little bit of research into the new 3D Doodler that's hit the market, it actually is something that I am looking into getting, because the new way of doing it will involve using copper, bronze, and even wood. Now they're saying that the strands that they use are made from real wood fibre, and it can even be used for repairs on modern utensils, furniture, or even floors, and it can be sanded or stained for unique finishes. So I think for those that want to make unique finishes, unique trims, something that no one ever is going to ever use or even think about using, and you want to set yourself apart, this is definitely something that you would need to look into. Perfect for those that want to get into 3D printing, and I'm pleased to announce that in about 5 or 6 videos time we'll be doing some sort of 3D printing, so you'll be able to see my 3D printing machine. I'm looking forward to that. So yes, if you are interested in this, check 3D Doodler out. So there you go, one finished, completed hat. Now my beautiful assistant Beryl is modelling this finished piece, and do you know, it actually turned out roughly exactly how I wanted, roughly exactly how I wanted, but I had an image in my head, and it goes to show how things will change as you're making. Now, if you're doing this for a client, you're obviously going to have to let them know, but I think it looks so much better with a flat top as opposed to the rounded top that I originally wanted. Now, if you do end up making a hat inspired by this piece, make sure you send me a image to the email address down below. I will hopefully going to be featuring you guys in videos, in future videos, just to show that people can make these hats, and you know, you don't have to be a fully fledged milliner to make these beautiful pieces. Make sure you subscribe if you already haven't done so, and follow me on all the social media channels, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!